Dear content creator, have you noticed that the gap between the TV and film industry and the world of content creators is getting smaller and smaller every day? From web series getting adapted into TV shows or movies, to major networks and studios working with content creators, to even having content creators being invited to panels and festivals to talk about their craft. I don't know if you've been noticing, but there's been a shift that's been happening, and I think it's time for us to talk about it. So, let's dive in. Hello, beautiful people. Welcome back to another episode of Dear Content Creator. I am your host, Charismaggie. Happy new month, y'all. I can't believe we're already in November. Can you believe that? That is actually mind-boggling to know that just the other day I was saying Happy New Year. And now I'm about to be saying Merry Christmas. I can't believe how quickly the year has been flying by, but I hope that the year has been great to you guys so far. I can personally say it's been a very interesting year. So many things have happened, some of which I did not expect, but I am super grateful. And I hope that the year has been good to you so far. Okay, y'all. I know y'all see the title, and we have so much to talk about right now. So I want us to just get right into it. What really inspired this topic that I wanted to talk about today is I have been going to a lot of events lately, especially those related to content creation, but also TV and film. And the reason for that is I don't think I've really mentioned it in an episode before, but recently I was blessed enough to get a grant to help me with the production of a trailer and pilot episode for a web series project that I have been working on for some time. And it's called Kitchens of Toronto, and it's all about exploring and celebrating the cultural cuisine in Toronto, but focused on specific ethnic enclaves in the city of Toronto. And this really came about because during the pandemic, I was stuck in the house like a lot of you with not much to do apart from like going to work, etc. And when I was binge watching on Netflix, I noticed at the time Netflix was releasing a lot of like food documentary or just food related shows. And I was learning so much about foods in different parts of the world, different areas of the world. But then I was like thinking to myself, I live in Toronto. We are like one of the most diverse places, like cities in the entire world. Our cuisine is epic. Why don't we have something like this on Netflix? So I decided to do my own series. So Season 1 of the series is what I did on my own with the little $1,000 that I had to produce it, edit it, direct it, all of that. I did that all on my own. And then a couple years later, I was able to get into a program, and then I was able to get funding where it would allow me to hire professionals to help me with the actual production, all of those things for it. And I'm happy to report that you can watch it now if you would like to. We are not finished. I would say this is more of a proof of concept round because I'm trying to get more funding to finish it, but also trying to learn the ins and outs of what it takes to get a web series to like a streaming platform, because that's ultimately my goal. I've always had a desire to have my own web series or my own series, TV series on like Netflix or a platform similar. And so I go to these events to really learn these insights because that's where the information is. There's no amount of being consistent and putting out the best work and all these things that is going to help you get to certain goals. What they don't tell you when it comes down to this whole content creation thing is there's a lot of networking involved and a lot of being in the right place at the right time and meeting the right people. And I'm trying to meet those people, okay? So for those of you who weren't able to attend any of these events, I'm hoping to provide a quick recap and also allow you to keep these events on your radar. Look out for them every single year. So mark your calendars, mark the names of these events that I will be mentioning as well. So the first event that I want to talk about that I went to, it's called Content Canada. And this event was really focused mainly on TV and film to discuss the landscape, specifically in Canada. There were some references talking about the States as well, but it mainly focused on Canada. And this was a 2-day, I believe, summit, you could say. We had executives from different streaming platforms and TV and film industry people. Like we had Crave TV that was there, I believe. We had Amazon Prime Video, Pluto TV. We had Ant TV, Blue Ant TV. There are so many that I just can't remember off the top of my head, but these were executives that were here to talk about some of the issues that are currently happening in the space, some of the trends, things like that. And I want to bring up two specific discussions that happened, and then I'll talk about the second event that I went to. So one of the discussions that happened that really caught my attention was the fact that they talked about some of the challenges that streaming platforms were experiencing, and also traditional TV and film like cable TV, right? So the issue of subscription was a big thing in terms of it reducing. I guess people are canceling their subscription, or it's not, they're not getting enough subscribers on specific platforms. I don't know if y'all even noticed, there are some platforms that are offering you, like, if the regular subscription was $15, they're giving you like for $1.99 or $3.99 for the month, for the first month or the first 3 months. And that's a way to get people on the platform so that we can discover stuff and hopefully like them and want to stay and keep our subscription. So that is one thing I found interesting. Another thing they talked about, which I found really eye-opening, was the difficulty with content being discovered, because there are so many platforms out there. You have paid streaming platforms like Hulu, Netflix, Disney Plus, Apple TV, and then there are also things called fast channels where it's like free for you to watch on it, but it's just that they basically are able to maintain themselves through ads. So that's why when you watch it, ads would be on it. And examples of these would be like Pluto TV, and I believe Stack TV is also an example of that. So it was really like interesting for me to hear, like, yeah, they have issues with content being discovered on those platforms. And I guess that's where certain strategies have to come in, such as them partnering with influencers or doing certain digital marketing, strategies to help people know about a certain series or show that is on their platform. And it's just funny because it's like, yeah, us as content creators who are on YouTube or Instagram or TikTok, like, we also experience these issues as well. So it was just interesting to know that these platforms are also having those issues as well. Last but not least, they also talked about the challenges that the industry has been facing when it comes on to money. Like, it doesn't matter what industry you're in, every single industry was affected when the pandemic hit. This was during the time, I believe a lot of y'all recall, we had strikes that happened among writers, and we had actors and actresses who also went on strike. A lot of our favorite TV shows got canceled. By the time they got renewed, or if they got postponed, by the time they came back, maybe fans lost interest. They didn't really have the hype they had before. So these are some of the things that happened. And it made me think about some of the discussions I saw happening online from actors and actresses, and everything they talked about. I was like, but why does this sound like exactly what content creators go through? We don't get paid our worth. We don't get, we're not taken seriously sometimes as well. And we're content creators. We even worse sometimes don't get taken seriously. Some people still don't consider what we do a job. So I am seeing that there is a lot of similarities between us. The money that Hollywood used to have isn't there anymore, is what it's sounding like, especially to pay actors and actresses as well. This is the perfect event for you if you're someone who is an emerging producer, a filmmaker, etc., anyone who's interested in just the TV and film space. That is the best way for you to meet people that you wouldn't normally be able to probably get a reply from them on LinkedIn because they're so busy. And I even got the opportunity to pitch to someone from Tastemade, which they were able to give me a lot of insightful tips to help me with my pitch for future reference. So I really found it helpful and definitely would go another year. The second event that I went to, this one was a film festival. Now, this is something I have been recently learning about. So if you're someone who has any kind of web project that you want to get recognized, this is how some people have been getting their productions recognized, to end up be licensed by your favorite streaming platforms, right? Like Netflix or Amazon Prime Video. And so when you submit your projects to these web festivals, you're able to maybe win an award. That is something that you can have as leverage to show the credibility of what your work is all about. And so I went to TOWebFest, which is specifically located in Toronto, but anyone from across the world can submit their project once it fits their requirements. And it's an opportunity for people who make web content or online content to have it seen, to be rewarded for the hard work that they do. But we also have a summit portion of the event as well. Now, this one I would say was one of my favorite because based on where I am with my project, there are a lot of things they talked about that I found interesting. One particular thing they talked about was the fact that there is a lot of adaptation going on. And I am seeing this even happening with online work, like YouTube, for example. So I'm going to give you guys an example. With Netflix, right? We all know about Love is Blind. I know there's a lot of drama around it. That's the best example I can give you. But with Love is Blind, it started out with the American franchise. And then we had other ones that started to happen along the way. We have Love is Blind Mexico. I believe there's one for, was it Korea? There's a Brazil one. The UK one recently came out. And now we have Habibi, which is based on Dubai. So we're seeing how one thing was able to be replicated into and adapted into multiple versions of it for different audiences who are based in those countries. So that is an example I can give you for that. YouTube. I know you guys have seen the Pop the Balloon series that has been happening. I don't know who exactly started it, but you have different adaptations of that happening as well. So it started out maybe in the States, and then from the States, you have Caribbean version. I've seen the Jamaican version. I've seen the Trinidadian and Tobago version. I've seen the Nigerian version. Like, it is interesting sometimes. If you want a good laugh, you want some entertainment. I am just noticing that we are really not that different, y'all. So with that, y'all, let us get into today's discussion. So we all know that Hollywood has a lot of gatekeeping that has happened. And thank goodness for platforms like YouTube that came along. Now we have Instagram, now we have TikTok that has helped a lot of creators put their work out there, be independent, be creative, and it has landed them to different opportunities. I'll talk about some examples later on, but I want to talk about how Hollywood has been the gatekeeper for a while. You had to follow certain channels to get opportunities within Hollywood. And then the social media landscape with the different platforms came about and kind of made it easier for people to be visible. This doesn't just apply to TV and film, even music right now. You can see some people got their start from putting out their music online as well. And that is how they got discovered and got picked up for different opportunities. So the question is, why do you think right now Hollywood has been working, or over time, Hollywood has been working with content creators? And I've been trying to figure this question out as well, but I think based on some examples that I've found that we'll discuss shortly, I've found the answer. Firstly, it has to make sense to Hollywood. If it don't make dollars, it don't make sense to them. So they have to see the impact of the creator in terms of their numbers, whether it's their following or how the project has done in terms of views. That is one thing that they look at for them to want to work with a content creator. The second thing is the audience. They look at, will this person be able to have their audience transfer from their original platform to following them to more traditional media platforms to support them? And, that is also an audience they don't have to worry about wondering how they're going to get people to learn about this project because that person is already coming with their community. So that's the second thing. Those are the two main things I can really identify. And if anyone has an idea of what other reasons could be, please let me know. I would love to think that they also find people who have unique stories to tell. But honestly, I feel like the two first things have to happen in order for them to care about whatever uniqueness you have, because you could have a great idea, but if you don't have the numbers to back it up, they are not really going to take the risk on you, if that makes sense. So to really get this episode started, I don't think it makes sense for us to talk about this topic without having some tangible examples. So I want to give some examples of creators who started out in the online space and then moved on to the more traditional media space, and things that probably helped them and lessons that we as content creators could get from their journey. So the first one, of course, I gotta start off with my OG because she was a huge inspiration to me and my journey of content creation, especially when it came onto exploring with web series type content, Issa Rae. Okay, so she came from YouTube web series Awkward Black Girl to having a huge successful series on HBO called Insecure. How she started, it was in, I believe it was 2011 was when she came out with this series. And I thought it was more episodes, but apparently this series only had a total of 2 seasons, and I think it's a total of 12 episodes. So it just like shows sometime that it doesn't have to be something super long. Like once you're really dedicated to the vision that you have for something, you can over time build an audience who would resonate with it. So that's what she did. And what made it unique is that it allowed for the story of Black women who are part of this specific demographic, like the awkward Black girl. Like for the longest, Hollywood always showcased Black women as a specific type, you know, the loud, angry Black woman, like was the character we always had, right? But with Issa Rae's like production, the web series, it allowed us to talk about another identity that some Black women can resonate with, being the awkward Black girl. And so I think because there was the success of Awkward Black Girl that happened that had her get the attention of Hollywood producers, which led to a partnership. She signed a deal with HBO in 2014. And then in 2016 is when Insecure actually aired. So since then, she has been doing amazing things. She has been making platforms for people to also have their craft be seen and helping us build our craft. Especially if you live in the States, these opportunities are there for you. So shout out to her. I think she has a radio network now that also houses podcasts and all of that. So Hooray Media is her overarching, you know, business that holds all of these productions that she does. But yeah, like it's just amazing to see someone start with what they had. That barrier to entry wasn't there. She was able to be creative the way she wanted. She used what resources she had in the form of friends who were able to do this with her and just put it out there, and was able to build an online community who rallied behind her. I remember myself watching this while I was in university, and this is when I actually discovered it. I remembered I didn't have cable or anything, and I religiously would look for a new episode to come out. It was good times, y'all. Like when those episodes came out, you know, you snuggle up, you get your popcorn ready, and you're ready to really dive in. What helped Issa Rae? What helped her? Well, I think it was just the realness and the fact that what she produced was just so authentic, because it, as I said, it resonated with so many people because she was exploring the nuances of Black identity and womanhood. I think sometimes we forget that the Black identity is not a monolith. Like there are many experiences that we have, many personalities, all of that. And so seeing that, I guess, shown in a different light was great to see, and people could see themselves represented for once. Another thing that probably I would say helped out Issa Rae was the fact that she was able to build a community on YouTube, like for free, pretty much. Like she was able to use this free platform to showcase her talent. There was no traditional gatekeepers keeping her away from doing this thing. And eventually that allowed her to leverage, you know, her own series on big old HBO. So what are some of the lessons that we can learn from her journey? Well, we can embrace the unique perspectives and tell stories that reflect our truth. I don't think a lot of us realize how powerful our own stories can be. And if we were to hone into that more, how much it would reach the right audiences, especially if you're someone who has a interest in film and television. There are a lot of missing gaps of experiences that haven't been seen as yet, haven't been told, and people are like craving that new thing because right now in Hollywood or just in the TV and film space, I feel like there's just a lot of recycling going on and people are kind of getting tired of that and all that. So yeah. And also collaborate and expand. I feel like what has helped Issa Rae a lot is that she knows how to network. She knows how to collaborate. It doesn't take away from her art that she works with writers or, people to help her with the creativity of the story that she's telling and like enhance the storytelling. Unlike some people who don't know how to do that, but that's, we're not going to talk about that person. Y'all probably know who I'm talking about. Someone who writes, directs everything that they make. They don't hire writers to help them and AI. But yeah, this brings me to the Creator Scoop segment, so let us get into that. Since we are talking about Issa Rae and what she has been doing, big news content creator, she is partnering with streaming platform Tubi to launch a platform called Studi that will help creators get their streaming projects green lit. That is amazing. This sounds like a program that I need to be looking into. Hopefully, I don't need to be in the US to be a part of this. I'm thinking that is the case. Darn it. But this sounds like something I would need because y'all heard me talk about my project and where we are right now with it. So yeah, this is lit. Shout out to people like Issa, who's helping people who are just trying to make it because she knows how hard it is to do it right now. Like, I think the way that people like Issa Rae were able to really use YouTube to tap into Hollywood, I don't know if that formula is still there anymore, to be honest with you. Hopefully it still is because there are a lot of talented people online that just need that extra support behind them to put out amazing work. Like, I don't know about y'all, but I'm tired of the same old that I'm seeing on these streaming platforms. The storyline is the same. Everything is just the same old. But yeah. Now, y'all know we can't talk about creators who have transitioned from online platforms to traditional media without mentioning Lilly Singh. Like, come on. She went from YouTube to having her own late night TV show. I'm not really familiar with the TV show, but I did hear when that news happened and that was a great opportunity for her. But Lilly Singh, also known as Superwoman, by the way, she is Canadian. She started her YouTube channel in 2010 and she created comedic skits, often playing different characters. So I remember I used to watch some of her videos in university and she would play like her mom, her dad, maybe her brother. I can't remember. Like, it was multiple characters. And just her relatable humor and often focusing on her South Asian heritage and just immigrant family dynamics, I think that resonated with people. I know even though I wasn't a part of the South Asian community, because a lot of what she was acting out in her comedy sketches was so relatable to me as an immigrant. It was like, yeah, immigrant parents be like that. So it's like we were all living the same life. It's like, do all immigrant parents have the same like handbook or something? Because that's what it's giving. But she went on to have success because she went from going on YouTube, having her platform on YouTube, which she still had while she was also exploring other opportunities. I think at one point she was like on a tour. And then in 2019 is when she got the deal for that late night show on NBC called A Little Late with Lilly Singh. That made her the first woman of Indian descent to host a major US network late night show. And to this day, she's known for other things. I believe she has a book or two, like a boss, I think is one of them. So she has, shown up in different ways to explore her creativity and just putting things out there. So what helped Lilly? Let's talk about that, shall we? Her diverse content for sure, because it was a blend of comedy, relatable storytelling, and also cultural commentary, which attracted a wide group of audience because she went from, I think, attracting just Canadians to, an American audience as well. I think she eventually moved to the States. Her adaptability, she was able to transition from digital content to mainstream media. Now, I've had some people who given their feedback on how well she did this or not. I can't really speak to it because I didn't see that show that she did to really speak on this. But I would say to be able to move from YouTube to having a show on a late night show, it means you have to have some sort of versatility to do that. And I guess what are the lessons to learn from her? Be versatile and open to exploring different mediums and formats. Maintain a positive and inclusive message. That was something I remember that she had in her content. It was always positive, wanting to make people laugh, all the things. And stay true to your roots while evolving your brand. The last creator that I'm going to talk about is Bo Burnham. And I'm bringing him up because this is the first time I heard about him while I was researching for this episode. And just kind of creeping his, his journey, like his old videos to now. He actually has up his old videos. Like he doesn't do like what some creators do where they archive everything as soon as like they blow up or whatever. You can see the latest, like the oldest video that he has up there from 2006, which is cool because it allowed me to learn more about his journey and like the progression of where he's coming from. So he went from comedy content on YouTube to directing and acting in Hollywood films, including one that he wrote himself. So he started in 2006 and he was posting satirical songs, which he recorded in his bedroom. He always had a guitar that he was playing with. And over time, his videos would go viral because the lyrics and the commentary that he had that was talking about social issues and things like that, it just really captivated an audience. And so over time, that's what he was known for, along with his musical talents. Because remember I said he included comedy along with music. So that's pretty cool. He's already standing out right there. So his breakthrough into Hollywood, all of this fame that he had, because to this day, he has over 3 million subscribers. That helped him to gain opportunities in stand-up comedy. I believe at one point he was signed to Comedy Central Records, and then he went on to producing a couple comedy specials. Then in 2018, he expanded into filmmaking where he wrote and directed 8th Grade, and that was an critically acclaimed film. I heard that it got really great reviews. And then in the pandemic, he had a Netflix special called Inside, and that is one that he wrote, directed, and performed on his own. Now, what helped Bo Burnham? Innovative content. He wasn't afraid to merge two things that was naturally natural to him, which was comedy, blending it with music and commentary. It really set him apart from traditional comedians out there, I'm sure. And I think the other thing that probably helped him was, even though he did comedy, he found different ways to do comedy in a different type of way as well as he was progressing in his career. So testing out stand-up, like doing videos on YouTube to doing stand-up is very different. Like it's a different ball game, y'all. Trust me. Comedians will tell you that it is a whole art that you have to master. So lessons, what are some of the lessons that we can learn from him? Firstly, don't be afraid to be yourself. I think some people would think that is like so weird to do. He probably would have been that kid in school that people tease or whatever. Like he didn't allow that to stop him from putting out content, and look what it did for him. So stay true to who you are, find different ways to make yourself stand out. And sometimes just staying true to who you are can actually be the answer to that. And overall, just keep evolving. Yeah. Okay, y'all. So that is it for diving into those creators. I would love to hear from you guys. Are there any content creators that you know who got their start on a digital platform and eventually now you're seeing them all over the Hollywood scene and just doing their thing? I would love to learn more about creators who are just like this. Now, I would like to go into or things that I'm loving segment because, y'all, I need to tell you about this epic, kind of wild reality series that I saw. So, yeah, let's go into things I'm loving right now. All right, y'all. So for this things I'm loving right now segment, I want to talk about this new reality TV series that came out on Hulu. Actually, it came out in September. It's called The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, and the drama, the mix-up, the blender. Like, this series has a little bit of everything to keep you wanting to watch. I don't know what the raving has been about, like, keeping up with the Kardashians or whatever other Kardashian show they had. Personally, I find them to be super boring. I tried to watch a couple episodes, so seeing how successful that series was, I think that this one will be even more successful. I don't know if I'm speaking out of turn here, but just from what I saw from season 1, I'm like, oh yes, immediately. So let me tell y'all what the series is actually about. So it features 8 TikTok mom influencers. Yes, you heard that right. The mommies, the TikTokers are out here getting TV series. Okay, all right. So it's Taylor, Jen, Macy, Demi, Michaela, Whitney, Jessie, and Layla. They're all moms from Utah. And get this, they are also part of the Mormon community. So what makes this series so interesting is this all started from an online scandal that happened with the main character, I would say, in the series. Her name is Taylor. She was apparently involved in couple swinging, and news came about with her divorce, which she talked about, and she revealed certain things, and it just blew up on TikTok, and then it got picked up or got the attention of traditional media outlets as well. And so with that drama plus her following, it just made for her to get this opportunity for the show. So what is brilliant about it, and I think why it has been so successful with the first season so far, is because after she came out with the news of her divorce and all the things with the scandal of the swinging that was going on with her and 2 other couples, is that she kind of didn't really talk about anything else that happened. Like, she maybe disappeared, and you had to watch the series to know what was going on, to get the tea. That was what, the continuation of the tea was on the TV series. So you got an update on her life, what happened after that, etc. And it also involves just motherhood, the complexities of the Mormon community from those who are more traditional to those who are more modern. And you just see how different all of the ladies are and their beliefs and the things they do, and just friendships, who not like who and who like who, and jealousy and drama, guys. That's all I can say. So I just thought about this and I said, you know what? This episode is talking about content creators getting opportunities in Hollywood. So I talked to you guys about so many creators that got opportunities from their start on YouTube. TikTok has been a platform that gave a lot of people a lot of exposure, because I don't know if y'all know this, but YouTube is a pretty hard platform to grow on, especially in this day and age. So a platform like TikTok has literally allowed people to go viral and just blow up overnight. But yes, one thing I learned, I would say from this, again, it has to make sense to Hollywood. So the mothers had the following. I believe all of them have followers in the millions. And then the drama, the tea, everybody was talking about it. So obviously they would want to tune in. The fans, the followers of these moms would want to tune in to hear what else they have going on and the aftermath of that whole drama. But it has been so successful already, y'all, that they are already coming back for season 2. It's already been renewed, I heard. Season 2 has already been renewed. So yeah. The point or the lesson from that is Hollywood looks at followers. So now you see why everybody's killing themselves out here to get followers. It's adding up, y'all. It's adding up. So to wrap up this episode, let us talk about what are some of the challenges that content creators might face with trying to navigate Hollywood. Honestly, I think personally, my guess would be that just trying to navigate online versus traditional media is going to be I already talked to you guys about how difficult it's been for me to navigate getting my web series, like knowing what are the next steps, what are the things that I need to do if I want this to be my next step, for example. And so I think that is something. So you need to be connected with people who could advise you and different things like that. Maybe definitely another issue would be being able to maintain your authenticity. because sometimes you probably have to change up some stuff for the sake of what they're asking you to do. So perfect example, I would say, I believe when it came on to Issa Rae and her series, she had to fight, I think, to make sure that she was still the lead actress in it because they wanted it to be someone else. So her staying true to that and also the main core of what the series was about was truly important. And I think that's what made it so successful. So I guess learning to navigate like where you can push back to negotiate, keeping the realness of what it is that you created can be hard. And yeah, then because sometimes they probably think they know what works, but it's like, maybe I am probably the best person to know what will actually work in this case since it's my story, but whatever. And then maybe the other hard thing would be just navigating how things work with intellectual property and contracts and all of that. Like at this point, I would just be getting a lawyer for all of this because I don't have the time to be figuring it out on my own. That brings me to some actionable steps that I want to leave with you guys is how can you go about navigating all these challenges? What can you do? What resources can you seek out? I would say that it starts with you just networking with people and asking questions. For me, I know when I wanted to do this project, I asked questions about available funding, programs for mentorship for things like this. And that was one of the ways I found out about the program that I got in to eventually apply for funding. It was a whole process. I'll have to do a whole different episode to tell y'all about it. But it involved me like really having to pitch my audience why I think it would work. Also, why me? Why should I be the one telling this? Why not somebody else? That's another thing that you're going to have to fight for sometimes. And so navigating that, I needed mentorship with that for sure. Also finding programs that maybe can help you get matched with a mentor who has experience in the craft that you want to hone a bit more. So if it's writing that you want to hone more, you might need to get, paired with someone who has that experience. And another thing is just simply building up your portfolio, whatever work that you put. And again, this episode, I know I'm talking mainly about, Hollywood, getting into the TV and film space, but there are a lot of you that maybe that's not your interest, but still, this will be relevant to you when we're talking about brand partnerships and all of that. Start building up your portfolio of your work, showing results of, views that a certain video got or the engagement that you got, because all of this, it ties in together. Celebrities don't only, or actors and actresses, they don't only act. They also are having brand deals that they do. It's just that we live in a day and age where now content creators are able to kind of compete with celebrities when it comes on to getting brand opportunities because we are cheaper as well. That's just the fact. But also because of how we have utilized social media over time, we have built an audience that got to know us a bit more. We gave them this sense of creating a community with them, whereas with celebrities, it was more like a bit standoffish, like, admire me and that's it. Another thing, y'all, is to look into actual programs that are funding creators. I know sometimes there's Patreon had a program at one time. I believe YouTube had one. There are different programs that are usually out there. They might have certain threshold for maybe follower requirements or subscriber requirements, but kind of try and find out those information if you are interested in funding a project that maybe the money you have is not enough to get you to the next level of what you're trying to do. I have been realizing lately that some of the production and the work that I've seen on some people's YouTube channel, for example, they were able to do that from a fund that they got. So that was inspiring for me to see and to know that I am on the right track. I just need to keep going, and I'm encouraging you as well to also keep going. These are some of the actionable steps I would recommend. And of course, finding events like the ones that I mentioned. If you did not hear it at the beginning of the episode, it is called Content Canada and TOWebFest. Those are two events that you can think about going to next year. And I also, in my previous episode, I talked about 4 events that are happening for the month of November that you guys can look into going. If you missed it, just subscribe to the newsletter and I will send you all the details for those important creator-related events for you to check out. All right, y'all. So for today's Dear Future Me segment, I honestly didn't really have the words of what I want to say to my future self when it comes on to this topic. I'm going to just do it by ear and say the words that pretty much come to my mind right now. Dear future me, have you taken the time to see how far you've come? Do you see how endless the possibilities are for you? Don't stop dreaming. Never stop believing. Your time is coming. Keep on honing your craft. Keep on putting in the work to make the necessary connections. And most importantly, keep believing in your voice. Okay, that wasn't so bad. Those are honestly the words that I think I would want my future self to hear in a couple of months, maybe a year or so. When I reflect on what this journey has been like and what next there is for me. I know I didn't really touch too much on this episode of the work that I've been working on, how I started, etc. I even won a couple of awards, but I will leave that for another episode where I can really dive into the entire process, including how I was able to get a $20,000 grant to help me with this project. As always, this is supposed to be a space for us to talk and have conversations. So if you guys have any specific questions, if there's anything that you want me to talk about specifically, let me know. It can be hard to keep track sometimes of my thought process, things I want to say. But I just hope that you found this episode not only insightful, but educational, and that you can take action on some of the things that we talked about today. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for listening. And I would encourage you to subscribe if you haven't already, or follow the podcast, and also leave us a review, 5-star, 4-star, whatever star you want to give, but 4 and 5 is what we will accept. Yeah. Let us know how you're loving the podcast, and I will see y'all in another episode. Bye.